Hello everyone and welcome to this video. In this video, we're going to talk about the rest of Unit 10 lessons. 10.4, using y equals mx plus c. Now, in 10.4, we're going to study how to use this general equation and rearrange equations to make it look like this. First, let's take a look at some questions. Um, Here, let's take a look at question 2 here. In question 2, without drawing the graphs, sort these equations into pairs of parallel lines. We talked about parallel lines and we said that parallel lines have the same gradients. They have the same gradients. So basically, I have to look at the gradient of the line and check if they are parallel to each other or not. So here, we understand that the gradient is the coefficient of the x or the number next to the x. So the gradient here is 1 over 4. Now I look for the same gradient, which is here. This means that line A and F are parallel to each other. So I'm going to write A and F. Now the next ones, same idea. I'm going to look for the gradient. Here we have negative 4. And here we have negative 4. This means that B and D are parallel to each other. So I will write B and D. So basically, as we talked about, the parallel lines have the same gradients. And the last ones here, we have a positive 4 and a positive 4. This means that the gradients or C and E are parallel to each other as long as the Y has a coefficient of 1. Now, the last ones are C and E, and these are the pairs of parallel lines sorted as pairs. So, next question, which equations in part A gives lines that intersect the y-axis at the same place? So which lines here intersect at the same place? This means that they have the same y-intercept, same y-intercept. Now, the y-intercept is the number or the constant alone. So that's a negative 1 here. That's a positive 1, positive 7, negative 5, positive 1, and positive 7. So here, you'll notice that this is positive 1 and this one is positive 1. This means that C and D intersect at the same point. And we have the other line, which is positive 7 and positive 7. It means B and F intersect the y-axis at the same points. So B and F. And this answers question B. Now let's move on to the next question. Here in this question, they need you to make X the subject. You already studied this in the first lessons. So I'm going to answer this, but I'm going to answer it in rearranging the equation in y equals mx plus c. For example, here, draw the line or the graph of 5x plus 2y equals 10. Use your graph to write down the gradient and y-intercept. So instead of using the graph, I'm going to show you how to rearrange them and then rearrange them in this form and then finding the y-intercept and the gradient from the equation. So basically first, let's zoom in. Let's use the space on the top here. So we have 5x plus 2y. 5x plus 2y equals 10. I want to rearrange it to make it like this. Y equals mx plus c. So first, this means that I need to make y the subject. Now, after understanding this, and I want to make y the subject, let's call this. So first thing I do, I'm going to take this. Let's make it blue, red, okay. I'm going to take the 5x to the other side because I need to make the y alone or the y the subject. So I'll end up with 2y equals negative 5x plus 10, like this. Now, that's the first step. So I took the 5x, it was positive, I made it negative on the other side. Now, I need to make y with a coefficient of 1. It means the number next to the y must be removed. Now, how do I remove this? Very good, by dividing by the same number. So I'm going to divide by 2 here. And because I did this to this element, I'm going to do it to all the elements of the equation. It means I have to divide by 2 here, and I have to divide by 2 here. So whatever you do to one of the elements, you have to do it to the other elements. So here, divide by 2 and divide by 2. Now to solve the division part, this one, this 2 will cancel this one. So I end up with having y with a coefficient of 1, and then negative 5 divide 2 will be negative 2.5 x, and then 10 divide 2 will be 5. And this is the final equation after rearranging the equation to the form of y equals mx plus c. Now, to find the gradient, we understand that the m is the gradient and the c is y-intercept. And once you rearrange it that way, it's going to be easier for you to find the gradient and the y-intercept. So this one is the y-intercept. Intercept. You already know the rest, okay? So y-intercept. So basically, after rearranging, it's going to be easy to find the gradient and the y-intercept. The gradient is the number next to the x, or the coefficient of x. So this is the gradient here. Because it's next to the x, it's negative 2.5. And the y-intercept is the constant alone, which is 0.5. This means that the gradient is negative 2.5 and the y-intercept is plus 5. And this is how you answer a question like this. Now let's move on to the next question. Here, same ideas. Which of these equations are equivalent? Now, equivalent equations, it means they have the same gradient and the same y-intercept. This means you need to rearrange them and check if they have the same gradient or y-intercept. First, this one is rearranged. This one is rearranged. Let's rearrange this one. So here, to rearrange the second one, we're going to take the 2x to the other side, and it's going to be negative 2x. So I'm going to write it like this, negative 2x, and remove it from this place, okay? So y equals 3 minus 2x. So basically, I can see that a and c are the same. Y equals 3 minus 2x. Y equals 3 minus 2x. Here, y equals 2x plus 3. Now, this one is rearranged. Now, let's rearrange this one. Negative 2x, I'm going to take it to the other side. It's going to be positive 2x. So here, I have a positive 2x. When you rearrange, focus on the steps and the signs. Same idea here. I'm going to take the negative 3x like this to the other side, and it's going to be positive 3x. So this one will be positive 3x. Now I check again. This is 2x plus 3x, 2x plus 3x. It means the equation of E and F are equivalent. E and F are equivalent, which is, are they equivalent? No, they're not. Very good. Focus on what? Focus on the gradient. The gradient is different, and the y-intercept is different. So this one is 3 plus 2x, and this one is 3 plus 2x. It means that E and B are equivalent. Very good. So focus on that. They must have the same gradient, like this, and the same y-intercept. So A and C, we have E and B, they are equivalent. But D, which is 3x minus 2, is not equivalent to any of the equations. And here we have 2 plus 3x, which is not equivalent to any of the equations. And this is how you answer a question like this. Now let's move on to the next question. Writing an equation in the form of y equals mx plus c. We understand the idea of this one. Let's take one of them and answer it. Let's take number 2, for example. Here. Rearrange it to make it y equals mx plus c. So let's do this. Cover this one. Here and here. I'm going to answer one of them because the rest are the same, okay? So basically, first thing we do, we have to make the y alone. So I'm going to take whatever next to the y, which is the negative 7 here. So I'm going to take the negative 7x to the other side and make it, very good, positive 7x. So I end up with 2y equals 3 or 7x, which is positive 7x, plus 3. Okay, plus 3. Now, this is the first step. So I took the 7, negative 7x, I made it positive 7x. And I want it in the form of y equals mx plus c. Mx plus c. This means what? This means I need the x first and then the c, which is the constant. So basically, I made it like this. Now I need the y with a coefficient of 1. It means I have to divide by the number next to the y. And if I do it to this element, I have to do it to all the elements like this. So I'll divide by 2 here, divide by 2 here, and divide by 2 here. Now I'm going to solve the dividing part. So these two will cancel each other. I end up with y, like this, y. Now 7 divide 2 will be what? Very good, 3.5x. And then plus 3 divide 2 will be 1.5. And this is the final equation rearranged in the form of y equals mx plus c. So from the equation here, I can easily find the gradient, which is 3.5 or positive 3.5. And I can easily find the y-intercept, which is positive 1.5. And this is how you answer a question like this. Now, let's move on to the next question. So basically, you have to understand how to rearrange. Um, Now, to decide whether each pair, sorry, I skipped this one, which line has the steepest gradient. Now, the highest number, positive or negative, doesn't matter, is the steeper or the steepest gradient. For example, if it's positive 4 or negative 7, 7 is bigger than 4. Now, don't worry about the signs, just look at the numbers. Don't look at the signs, look at the numbers. The highest number is the steepest line. For example, if I have an equation like this is very important, okay? If I have an equation like this, y equals 3x plus 2, and another one, y equals negative 5x minus 8, for example. Now, I want to decide which one is the steepest line or the steepest gradient. As I said, you don't look at the signs, look at the numbers of the gradients. Which one is the highest, the 3 or the 5? Very good, the 5 is the highest. This means that this line is the steepest, has the steepest gradient, or is the steepest line. Okay? So the higher the number of the gradient, doesn't matter if it's positive or negative, it means that the line is the steepest line. Now let's move on to the next one, question 7. To decide which one have the same y-intercept, you just have to rearrange them, y equals mx plus c, and then check if they have the same y-intercept. And to decide whether the lines are parallel or not, same idea, rearrange them, y equals mx plus c, and then check their gradients. Same gradients means parallel lines. If they have different gradients, even the signs matter here. They must have the same gradients with the same signs. So same gradients, parallel lines, different gradients, non-parallel lines. That's it for question 7 and 8. Now, this question is very important. Which of these lines pass through this point? This question is very important. You have to look at that and understand it very well. So, when do you say that this point, or when you decide that the point passes through a line? Very good. You just have to substitute them, substitute the values of x and y, because the 0 here is the value of x, and this one is the value of y. So basically, this is the x, and this is the y. Now, you're going to substitute one of the values and check the equation. If it gives you, or you can substitute both, by the way, if you don't want to waste time, you can substitute both and then check. If it gives you the right answer, it means the point is passes through the line. If it doesn't give you the right answer, it means it doesn't pass. For example, let's take A. So I'm going to put 0 instead of the x and negative 2 instead of the y and check if it's the right answer or not. So I'm going to write A here. Let's make it smaller. Let's do them one by one. So A, B, C, D, and E. So let's start with A. With values of A here, the Y is what? Very good. The Y is negative 2. So I'm going to write negative 2 equals. Now, the X is what? Is 0. So this one is going to be negative 2 multiplied by 0, like this. And then plus 2. So what did I do? I just substituted the values of X, which is 0, and the value of Y, which is negative 2. Now I'm going to solve this. Negative 2 times 0, it's 0. And then plus 2 is going to be plus 2. This means I end up with what? Yes, I end up with negative 2 equals positive 2. Now, is that possible? As you can see here, this gives you this. Is that possible? Because negative 2, and here we have 0, plus 2 means plus 2. Is negative 2 equal to plus 2? Very good, it's not. So this means that the point doesn't go through line A. Now we continue with the second one here, right, with line B. Line B, 2y, negative 3x. The y is negative 2, so I'm going to write it like this, 2, negative 2, instead of the y. And then minus 3 multiplied by the 0. So minus 3, bracket 0, and then equals negative 4. Check if it equals negative 4, like this. Now I'm going to solve this. 2 times negative 2 is negative 4. And negative 3 times 0, let's do this. This one, negative 3 times 0, is going to be eliminated because it's 0. So 2 times negative 2 is going to be negative 4. So you end up with negative 4 here from this side equals negative 4. Equals negative 4. Now, when you look at the values, are they equal to each other? Is negative 4 equal to negative 4? Yes, it is. It means the line or the point goes through line B. And that's the idea of this question. So basically, you substitute the values, check if the values are equal, and then if it's equal, it means the point goes through the line. If it doesn't, if they're not equal, it means the points don't go through the line. And that's the idea of this question. I hope you understood it. You can do the same for all of them. Substitute, check the values. If they are the same, it means they go through them. If they're not the same, it means they don't go through the line. Now let's move on to the next question. Other questions will tell you to write equations of lines. These questions are very important. These are the last questions for this lesson, so let's focus on them, okay? So basically, they will give you 2 points, and they will tell you to write the equation of the line that passes through the points. Okay, so here, let's start with this one, question 10. Find the equation of a line with which is parallel to this one. We already did the parallel ones in the last lesson. So let's do question 11. Find the equation of the line that passes through point C and point D. Okay, so basically for a question like this, find the equation of the line that passes through point C and point D. Here, you're gonna use each point alone, make an equation, and then use them both as simultaneous equations. So basically, here, let's start with the first point, which is C. You're gonna use the equation y equals mx plus c to solve this problem. You're gonna substitute the values of x and y. So this is an x, and this is y. Now here, same idea. This is x, and this is y. So you're going to take this point, substitute the values of x and y, and write the equation. Same idea with the second one. Use the point, substitute in x and y, and write the equation. So the first one here, let's talk about the first one. The x is 3, and the y is 2. This means the equation will be like this. 2 equals x is 3, so it's going to be m times 3. M times 3. So we write it like this. M bracket 3. And then plus C that we don't know, okay? Now, this is the first part. Now, to simplify it more, it's going to be 2 equals m times 3 is going to be 3m, and then plus C. That's the first equation. Now, the second equation will be with the second point. X is 6 and y is 8. So same idea, I'm going to use y equals mx plus c, and then the y is 8. So I'm going to say 8 equals m bracket multiplied by the x, which is 6, and then plus c. Now, to simplify it more, I'm going to say 8 equals 6m plus c. Now, I have myself with two simultaneous equations. So I got here one simultaneous equation and the other one. So two simultaneous equations. I'm going to solve them using the simultaneous equations method, which is the elimination method. I'm going to start it here. So I'm going to put them on top of each other first. I'm going to say that 2 equals 3m plus c. And the second one, 8 equals 6m plus c. Now, as we talked about the simultaneous equations before, you need to do the elimination method, you need to have the same coefficient and different signs. Now, when I look at the C here, I find out that we have the same coefficient, which is 1, but the problem is that we have the same signs. We need different signs. To have different signs, we must multiply by negative 1. This means I have to multiply one of the equations by negative 1. I'm going to choose the upper one. I'm going to multiply it by negative 1 just to change the signs and start the elimination method. So I'm going to multiply it by negative 1. And when you multiply, you have to multiply the whole equation. Focus on this. So I'm going to multiply it and write it down here. So we can solve it with the upper equation. So negative 1 times 2 is going to be negative 2, like this. And then equals negative 1 times 3m is going to be negative 3m. And then negative 1 times c is going to be negative c. And by that, I changed the signs of the whole equation. This means I don't need this equation anymore. Now I'm going to work on the lower ones. So I have now the c with the same coefficient and different signs. It means I can eliminate it like this. It goes by 0. Now I can add the equations. So 8 minus 2 equals 6. And by addition, it means we can calculate them together. So 8 minus 2 is 6. 6m minus 3m equals, very good, 3m. Now I want to make m the subject, and the 3 is multiplied by the m. It means I can make it divided on the other side. So here, m will equal what? Very good. M will equal 6 divide 3. So 6 divide 3. And 6 divide 3 will equal 2, so m equals 2. M equals 2. And that's the first part, finding the m. So basically, we found the m of the gradient. Now, to find the c, what do I do? Very good. Take the value of m, substitute it in one of the equations, and you'll find the c. So basically, I can substitute it here or here. It's up to you. So let's use the first equation. So we have 2 equals 3m plus c. Focus on this, okay? So basically, we found the m here. Now we need to find the c. So we substitute the value of m inside the m. So the equation will become what? It's going to be 2 equals 3. I want to remove the m and put instead of it 2. And then plus c. Now let's simplify it more. So 2 equals 3 times 2 is 6 plus c. Now I need to make c the subject. It means I have to take the 6 to the other side. It's addition. I'm going to make it subtraction. So c equals 2 minus 6. So c will equal negative 4. And by that, I found the value of c. here. This means I got the value of m, which is the gradient, and the value of c, which is the y-intercept. Now, after finding both of them, I'm going to go back to answer the question because the question is asking for the equation of the line. Now, I want to write the equation using this general formula. I already know the m. I'm going to plug it here. And now I know the c, so I'm going to plug it here. So basically, I'm going to write the general equation, which is y equals mx c. Now I'm going to substitute the m with 2 and the c with negative 4. So the equation will be y equals 2x, because the m is 2, and then the c is negative 4, so 2x plus minus 4. So y equals 2x minus 4. And this is the equation of the line that passes through these 2 points. And this is how you answer a question like this. I hope you understood the ideas. The whole idea is about using the points to make simultaneous equations, solve them to find the m and the c, and then use the m and the c to write the equation again in the form of y equals mx plus c. And this is how you answer a question like this. Now, let's move on to the next question. This question is the same as this one, which is 12. Same ideas. You just have to follow the steps as long as you understand the idea of rearranging and using the y equals mx plus c to answer the questions. That's it for this lesson. I hope you understood the ideas. Thank you very much for watching. See you next time.